Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. We got Dan here. We got Ricky here. I'm back from assignment from last week. How you guys doing?
The boys are back in town.
Good, other than all these walks the last few days. I don't know what happened with all of that, but
remember in the off season and spring training, and they were like, "We are going to throw strikes. We're going to attack hitters. Like that's going to be our point of emphasis."
It was a nice week and a half, yeah.
Yeah, that lasted a long time. It's just great. So, but yeah, welcome back, everybody. Giants lost today 6-4, unfortunately, but did have a series split in Philadelphia, which I will never take that for granted. Yeah, I mean, they got swept, 2 years in a row in Philadelphia? So, yeah, I'll take it. And they won the series in New York against another good team. And let's just see if they can finish this road trip strong. They're going to LA, got the Angels, who have played pretty decent ball under Ron Washington, which I think anybody that's watched Ron Washington's teams over the years, it's not that surprising, but still a little bit of a shock that they've been kind of good.
yeah, honestly, I would just like to see them get back to throwing strikes. Hopefully a little bit better weather on the West Coast will help out with that. I know we had 5 today. I think we had 6 from Robbie Ray yesterday. Verlander got roughed up a little bit with both the walks and just the hard contact. Even Logan Webb we saw in New York really struggle with it. I think the weather out there was a little bit worse as far as pitchers go with all the rain and the heavy winds. But, yeah, hopefully on the West Coast we'll see that improve, and then I would definitely expect to see that come down a little bit once they get back to San Francisco on Monday.
Yeah, I think weather definitely played a factor, but it is what it is. Adapt, adjust.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the game yesterday with Ray, and I mean, I think he walked 2 guys in the first inning, and then I know in the top of the first, who threw for them? Nola yesterday. He walked a guy in, and then I think later in the game they even walked a guy in. So it's like the walks were kind of a problem for everyone. So it's disappointing to see those. We don't want to see them, but like you guys both said, hopefully the better weather, better conditions pitch in, we stop seeing these issues for at least while they're back west. And because I mean, it's you can't do that all year. Like it's gonna be a problem if we're gonna end up taxing the bullpen so much if they end up doing this stuff all year. So fingers crossed that they leave those issues back east with the crappy weather.
Well, I mean, just aside from the weather, I don't know if you guys saw the post on X, but Giants starters in the first inning in the Philly series, they allowed 10 hits, 8 walks, and 10 runs in the first inning alone in that series. So I don't know what the issue was there, but that's definitely not the the groove you want to get off to a start. And they were lucky to split the series given that.
Yeah. It's funny because there's kind of 2 ways to look at it. Like on one hand, it felt like they both the games they won, they kind of, I don't want to say stole them because I mean they won 11-4 in one of those games, but it was like they did fall behind, or like felt like lost momentum, or were like all sorts of things where the games could have gone sideways, and they did find ways to win. But then also like the 2 games they lost, kind of like Ziggy said, like there is a way they really could have won all 4 of these games. Like they were all winnable games, but. Yeah, I mean, so what did you guys think? Because we have some people putting some questions in here. What's up, Casey? Anybody that has any topics or things they want us to talk about, definitely throw those in the chat. We'll be flagging some stuff to talk about. But what kind of stood out to you so far on this road trip between both New York and Philadelphia?
Positively or negatively or all the above?
Either or.
I will say the resurgence of a healthy Jung Hoo Lee has been a sight for sore eyes. Dude absolutely mashes doubles. He's looking like the player that we wanted him to be when we first signed him. Additionally, I don't know what Barry Bonds went over with Tyler Fitzgerald in BP, but ever since he had a chat with Barry and got called out by Cody, he's been on it there. So
You're welcome, Giants fans.
yeah, you can all thank Cody for that.
Just doing the Lord's work.
And then, I mean, those are a couple positives that I take away. The negatives, I mean, we've seen some poor defense last couple series. I don't really know what's going on. I'm sure Ricky will vent about some of that to an extent. Here's the post that made Cody go viral on X for all the right and wrong reasons. So, I was
The joke, guys.
It's a joke, people. Calm down.
No, he pissed off people with that one. You had them coming for your
so
throat,
funny.
dude.
It was so funny.
Dodgers fans, so who cares?
You're
Giants fans too, man.
Your gifts to react to that was just those had me dying. See what I mean?
Wait, the season doesn't end April 13th. Yeah, anybody wants some laughs, go check it out. It's a good time. There were a lot of Giants fans that were mad at me. They were saying that I jinxed them, and
yeah.
Calm down.
He has one bad game and you jinx him, and then he goes right back to just hitting doubles.
Yeah. It was like, calm down. It's fine.
But no, I mean, there's quite a few positives to take away. Negatives, I mean, we kind of saw Ray struggle a bit with his command. Obviously, we saw Verlander struggle a little bit, Hicks struggle a little bit. Defensive side had some struggles. A couple bats still haven't woken up. Lamont Wade Jr., Patrick Bailey. We'll dive into all that. So, yeah, I mean, those are just a handful of things I took away personally. I know Ricky's a little bit more in depth. I'm sure he has some opinions, but yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, still early, but definitely some good and bad or less, over the road trip so far.
Yeah, Wade's gonna get his own segment, guys. So,
oh yeah, you guys,
yeah,
you guys haven't had a caveman rant in months.
He's been so spectacular in some fashion that he's gonna get his own segment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll save that one for later. I'll start out with the defense. I think the defense definitely did get a little shaky. I think some of it I would liken to definitely the wind in both New York and Philly. Elliot Ramos specifically, you saw him take some very weird routes because of the way the wind was carrying balls. At times it was, say, taking a ball way back to the warning track and then pulling him back in to the shallower part of the outfield. It was kind of all over the place. I don't think that's really indicative of Ramos's defense out there. So that's my thing on that. I think the outfield was what struggled the most. I think Willie booted just one ball in Philly. He hasn't really been a concern at all. I know we were getting real hard on Fitz's defense the last couple of weeks, but he's kind of straightened everything out over there. He's turned some really nice double plays, some unassisted. So I think Fitz has looked a lot better over there. Chapman had a good series once again. I know Wade did miss an opportunity to scoop a ball on a bad throw by Patrick Bailey in yesterday's game. Didn't end up hurting them. But I will say on the positive side of things, Casey Schmidt looks like he's figured out first base defensively very quickly. Other than his first game there getting thrown in the middle of a game and missing a ball under his glove, he's been very solid over there. He's actually saved our infielders a few times. So it's kind of refreshing to see an athlete at first base for the first time in a while. And I'm not trying to be hard on Wilmer and Wade, but Casey's a middle infielder playing first base, and most teams don't have that luxury. So that's my thoughts on the defense. My biggest takeaways from the road trip so far, I think the team has shown adaptability. I think we've seen that this team can go out and win the 1-1-0 games, the 2-0 games, 2-1 games, those real tight games where it's more pitching and defense and a lot less hitting, especially back at home. And then they've shown that they can go and start a game down by 3, 4, 5 runs and come back and win that game by beating up on opposing teams' bullpen and getting the opposing starting pitcher out early in games. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is this team showing that no game. They're not out of any game, in the third inning if they get down early, because that's been a huge theme of this road trip so far. Starting pitchers getting roughed up real early on, kind of rebounding and then grinding through, 5, 6, and even 7 innings in today's case with Jordan Hicks.
They're a gritty team, dude. Like compared to the last couple of years. I mean, if we allowed 3, 4, 5 runs in the first 2 innings last couple of seasons, you pretty much just marked it as an L. You're like, all right, well, we'll get them tomorrow. It was the sad reality of it. So now it's refreshing to see this amount of grit.
Yeah. I mean, we were at the game last Wednesday.
Yeah.
They were down 6-1. And most years we would have been, now granted, maybe we were a little bit down on them because they just got shut out 2 nights in a row. But like we were at that game, it was 6-1. And most years we would have been like, all right, we want to get some food or Ghirardelli Sundays in about the 5th. We'll be leaving about the 7th and beat traffic a little bit, getting out of the city. And, they came back, they made it a game. I didn't even expect them to win, but it was cool to see them like battle back in that game. And then they did end up winning. And it was just like, that's a game they lose 10 out of 10 times the last couple of years. Like they don't win those games. So yeah, I mean, they're a gritty team. They all, even guys that haven't been swinging it well, they've been finding ways to come up with huge hits. Adames has had a handful of them. Bailey's even had a couple big hits in this season. Chapman's, had a few in there. And these are guys that just aren't swinging the bat well, but they're still coming through when they need to late in games. So it's great to see, like they said with Fitzgerald. I kind of wonder with Fitzgerald if he's one of those guys that, that's always a big thing. Like you don't want to let your offense affect your defense. And I just kind of wonder if he's one of those guys that just kind of does. It's like he was in a deep funk at the plate, and the second he gets out of it, all the defensive miscues kind of just stopped. And it's like, I kind of wonder if he just settles down because he just tries to do too much, because he knows he's not contributing at the plate. So he's like trying to overcompensate and just isn't making even the routine stuff. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see that the overall turnaround in his game. So, and I said it last week. I was like, he just needs to contribute somewhere. And now he's actually contributing on both sides, which is a really positive development because they're going to need him, especially if they want to make a deep run this season in any way.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other big thing for me is just like we mentioned, really getting the walks down. I was going through the last 6 starts, and their starters have been between 3 and 5 walks in every single one of those last 6 starts. And outside of Hicks today giving 7 innings, all of those guys have gone 5 2/3 or less. So that's just not going to be sustainable for them, even though they're getting contributions from guys you wouldn't necessarily expect it through, from a night in, night out basis, as far as like Wilmer Flores goes, Mike Yastrzemski, even Tyler Fitzgerald as of late. Some of the bottom of the orders kind of stepping in and really helping out, while Chapman, Ramos, and Adames have kind of struggled a little bit over the last week or so. So I think just getting back to that is going to be crucial for them. I don't think they're going to be able to keep that up all season long. And the reality is, even though the Yankees and Phillies are good teams, the Phillies have been kind of a slumping lineup as of late. So with other teams like, say, the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks, you might not be able to get away with all those walks. So they're going to have to figure that out. I think another thing I've had a huge issue with this road trip, even though they have had quite a bit of success, is Bob Melvin needs to really solidify some roles in the bullpen. My biggest issue with Melvin is just never really knowing what to expect. And when we don't know what to expect, it's more than likely that the players don't either, because with a bullpen that's doing well and the managers managing that bullpen well, you pretty much should know who's coming in almost every situation. It should be pretty predictable. You have your starter go X amount of innings. You should have a pretty good idea, like, hey, he's around 85 to 100 pitches. He's done. Or like Verlander the other night, for instance. Verlander grinded through 5 innings, was not good all night, did not have great control, was getting hit hard a lot of times. He got bailed out of an inning where Patrick Bailey threw a runner out and Jung-Hoo Lee threw a runner out in the same inning, which helped keep his run total down. And we all assumed, okay, thank God he got through 5 innings. And then here comes Verlander again in the 6th. And my instant reaction was, this first batter, if he gets on, Verlander is done. Verlander ends up getting the first out, and then he gives up a runner. I think he gave up a single. I said, pull Verlander out. He doesn't. Then I'm like, okay, this next guy, if he allows another guy on, you got to pull him. Doesn't pull him. And then what happens? They hit a kind of a weird fly ball. Ramos takes a weird route on it. The Phillies end up scoring, I believe, the game-tying run at that time. I think they had a 4-3 lead. And then after that, Melvin goes in and leaves him in for, I think, another 2 or 3 hitters, to the point where it felt like that game was out of control.
What are we doing?
So very odd managing there. And Verlander at 42 years old got left in there till I think he hit like 105 pitches or so, which was just way too long. He did not earn that kind of leash in that game. You know, reputation aside, we gotta do, you know, what's best for the team in that moment. We can't go off of his reputation. At the end of the day, this guy has not earned that this year. He has not been good enough consistently to be pitching that deep into ball games, especially when his command isn't there and he's getting hit hard. Another thing is, it's been very odd. You don't really seem to know what situation you're going to see guys like Miller, Rodriguez, Trevino. Like, there's just no clear roles with these guys. Ideally, you'd like to see, obviously, Walker as your 9th inning guy. You'd like to see a solidified 8th inning guy like Rogers. And then from there, deciding on, is Camilo going to be your 7th inning guy, or is that going to be Miller? Is Miller only going to come in high leverage situations where you're tied or leading a game, and he's going to face like lefties in the middle of that order? Or what's the situation going to be with Miller? Because we've also seen Miller come in some very weird situations. Like today, he ends up giving up the run. And why was Miller in? We were down by 2 runs with only 3 outs left in the game. It just doesn't really make sense. He's your one lefty. Why are you using him in this situation? Because what happens when tomorrow you're facing the Angels and they have, say, 2 lefties between 3, 4, 5 in their lineup, and you're up by 1 run? That is an ideal situation to go to Miller, but he might be too fatigued because he pitched today and not a high leverage situation. So I think going forward, they really need to solidify those roles and figure out who's pitching in what situations. I mentioned Randy Rodriguez, and it's the same thing with him. Randy Rodriguez has proved time and time again that he can get the Giants out of these really difficult situations. Bases loaded, no outs, bases loaded, 1 out. So if he's doing that, give him a better role and put him in these high leverage situations where he can come in with nobody on base, rather than putting him into these really challenging situations where, yes, he's been good in those situations, but give him a better role. If you don't trust Camilo in the 7th and 8th inning with a lead, put Randy in those situations and drop Camilo down the totem pole. So that's something I want to see over these next 3 games, and then when they get back home as well.
Yeah. That you just inspired another nickname that you could give Randy Rodriguez right now. He'd be the Tourniquet.
Tourniquet.
Giants marketing really needs to hire me. I'm just giving them gold here. All right, just
we need
just a random tourniquet giveaway with Randy's face on it.
We need to make a little smaller intro video and call it Ricky's Rants, and then just hit a little button, let it do a little intro, and then boom, Ricky goes and does his thing. He killed it right there.
Yeah. just starts breaking crap in the room, get like
or
faces and stuff.
We'll just have a Cody segment, and here's one of him having a coughing attack. Here's one of him spitting out his water.
Oh, dude, y'all missed it before the show. We were quoting Talladega Nights. Dan got me. Brutal. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think my one hope is that it's early in the year and he's still trying to feel out some of these guys and figure out where he wants them as the year progresses. That'd be the only argument I'd have. But even then, like a lot of these guys aren't like rookies, pitching in the pen. There's a lot of guys that have track records. So you should have an idea where you're going to throw these guys already. It feels like we haven't seen Ryan Walker pitch in like 5 days, I swear. I mean, I'm sure he pitched a couple days ago, but it just like it feels like he's kind of disappeared for a little while because they haven't had a lot of tight games where they're like going for save opportunities. And then even Camilo's gotten a couple save opportunities. So it's just kind of interesting how they're not even really putting them into games like trying to keep it tight late in a game where they're trailing or anything. Like if they're only down 1, it's just weird. It feels like he's kind of disappeared. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, I mean, overall, the pitching, there's a little bit of a problem going on in the starting rotation right now. Roop is going to have his struggles. He's young. He's basically a rookie. And then Verlander has not been impressive. Ray especially his last 2 outings, has been just fighting his command like crazy. This last outing, I can't even blame on the weather. It looked like he just never had a release point from the first pitch. Like he was just spiking stuff and not even close. And then, with Hicks, you could look at his start today 2 ways. I mean, on one hand, we can look at the first inning and be like, yep, there's typical Jordan Hicks. And then you look and he goes 7 innings and he just mows through them for the last 6 innings. And like, I'll give him his props for getting through 7. Like that was a really solid outing after the blow up in the first and a really good recovery, but that's kind of just been his MO. He always has an inning like this, like almost every outing. And it's not fair to be like, every pitcher is going to have innings where their pitch count elevates and things like that. But I swear he always has like 1 inning every game where he just can't throw strikes, gets jumped on early by it just ends up facing 8 hitters. And sometimes he limits the damage. Sometimes he doesn't, like today. And it's just, it's frustrating. And I don't really know what to make of him right now. I'm not going to sit here and say, he can't be in the rotation because we've all kind of talked about this before. And like, we all want Birdsong to be in the rotation, but at the same time, it's like, they're going to give this guy a shot. But it's tough because I feel like you have Hayden Birdsong, who's been one of their best pitchers on the entire pitching staff, and he's sitting in the bullpen. And we've got like 3 dudes in our rotation right now that are just not helping the team. And they're all vets, and they're not going to take any of them out. And it's just that's frustrating to me, just as a fan.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder how much of this is coming from Bailey calling pitches, or if it's pitchers shaking off. I haven't paid too close of attention to if they're shaking him off and trying to go to a different pitch, but I see a trend with a lot of these guys struggling with command where they're consistently going to the same pitch over and over and over. And typically it's a lot of these guys in their slider early on in games. They're not finding their slider. And maybe it is because of the wind and the weird weather that we've gotten on the East Coast so far this road trip. But like you see Robbie Ray and he'll just throw like 5 sliders in a row and he just has no idea where it's going. And then it's like, you get yourself into these spots where you have bases loaded and no outs and a 3-1 count, and everybody in the world knows you're going to pump a fastball. It's like at some point, let's make an adjustment here. Like if you got to go and attack with the fastball, attack with the fastball. Like, at some point you got to make them hit it. In Robbie Ray's case, the Giants laid a 4 spot on the first inning. He comes in with a 4-run lead. The absolute last thing you ever want to do in that situation is go and start walking guys and getting behind in every single count, 2-0, 3-0, and you're battling back. Like you're going to give every hitter a good pitch to hit at that point. It's like at some point, like let's just trust what we've got. It's like Robbie Ray and even Jordan Hicks, these aren't guys that are throwing straight fastballs. Like they have good run on their pitches. Like Jordan Hicks has a really good high 90s sinker. Like go and get you a ground ball off of that, man. Like at some point you got to go away from the slider in the left-handed hitter's batter's box. Like Like, if it's not working, it's not working, man.
How many times have we said, Jordan, you throw 98-mile-an-hour sink? Here it is, hit it. Like,
at some point, and we saw Robbie Ray start to do that in his outing, and you saw it get a little bit better where he's getting guys to pop up, because it's like it makes them feel uncomfortable too when they're getting stuff all over the place. Sometimes it's at their head, sometimes it's in the opposing hitter's batter's box. Like, it's just at some point you got to trust your stuff a little bit more and let them hit it, because if you're walking the first 3 batters to start a game, like, that's far worse than letting them hit it and risking them, getting under a ball or rolling over to third base and letting Chapman go to work, So yeah. I really would like to see them make that adjustment, because like I said, I'm looking at the last 6 starts. You had Hicks go 4 walks today, Ray 5 walks the day before, JV 3 walks, Group 3 walks, Webb 4 walks, and Hicks 3 walks in his first start on this road trip.
And Ray struggled to throw strikes on the first game in the road trip too. I mean, that was like the worst conditions I've ever seen in a game. But
yeah, still. That one I give him, I'll cut him a little slack on that. But 3, 4, 5 walks in every single start, like, you just can't have that, man. Like, you got struggling hitters up and down the Phillies lineup, and you're just putting them on base to let somebody like Bryce Harper run into one. You just can't have it.
Yeah. I swear, Bryce, I couldn't have begged enough to not pitch to that guy. And both times I was like, I feel like we really shouldn't pitch to him right now. He hits home run like both times. Dude, it was like, what? Come on, man.
When it was a 3-0 count, first base was open. I was like, go ahead and give it to him. No, but just give him a meatball right down the middle.
Yeah.
Like the Phillies had been atrocious with runners in scoring position. It's like, what are we doing?
Oh, well, yeah, we'll just pitch to the one guy that'll beat us. Cool. It's fine. But, all that said, there is a lot of positive that we got to see. I have this starred, and shout out Joaquin. Emergence of Lee has been so refreshing. Yeah, he ain't Ohtani, but he's our guy, and we're lucky we can grab some attention recognition around the league. Yeah, I mean, and okay, sorry if anybody gets like goes crazy over this, but I mean, the dude's out there looking like freaking Ichiro right now. Right now. Not that he's going to be Ichiro. That's a huge.
But you're not wrong.
That's what he looks like right now. Yeah. He literally, I mean, and yes, he models his game after him. The swing is literally like almost identical, the way they play. But like, that's what he looks like right now. Now, he's not going to hit 340 all year. I wouldn't expect. I mean, I hope he does. That'd be freaking awesome. But, he already has 10 doubles, a triple, 3 homers. It's like this dude might hit 50 doubles this season. And that'd be insane. That is such a weapon for this team. They need a hitter like that. I mean, they need like 2 more hitters that are maybe not to that level, but like they need a couple more hitters in this lineup that are going to put up a comfortable 280, 290 average. So yeah, Lee has been awesome. Fitz has been awesome this last week or so. Yaz has been, pretty solid. Wilmer's leading the league in RBIs, which is pretty great. There's a lot of positive things to take away. And I think, Ricky, you mentioned it earlier today, like them winning games this way is probably not sustainable over 162. But the real positive way to look at it is they're 13-6, I think, on the year after today. Mm-hmm. So they're 13-6, and Ramos, Chapman, and Adames really have not gotten going at all. Like, Ramos had a spurt to start the year, and he's tapered off. Now he's hit some balls hard. So a lot of tough luck in there, but I mean, Adames has been atrocious at the plate so far. And I'm not like, it happens. Like, every hitter goes through funks. We saw Chapman hitting like sub Mendoza line for like a month and a half last season. Then he went crazy. I have faith that Adames is going to figure it out at some point, but I mean, it's ugly right now. So
it looks like Chappie's coming out of his little slump though.
Yeah. Chapman
he's starting to turn it around.
And you look at Adames, and like his chase rate right now is like 60th percentile. Like, he's drawn some walks. Like, he's the plate discipline stuff is pretty in line. he has just no balance in his swing right now. He's been off his front foot like all season long, and just in my opinion, my unprofessional opinion, to me, like he should be sitting there thinking like fastballs going the other way with, and that way if it's a breaking pitch, he still can recover on it and pull it. Just try and get it deeper because he's just so off balance right now at the plate. But yeah, I mean, you have to expect those guys are going to get going at some point, and if they do, all of a sudden now the guys that you feel might be a little unsustainable with their performance, like Yaz or Wilmer, if they come back to earth, it's like, that's great. Thanks for carrying us when you did, because now our stars can take care of business.
Yeah.
So that would be the hope.
Yeah, but at the same time, you need to get some sort of production out of the two glaring holes in your lineup, and we all know who they are.
Oh yeah,
and it's not like it's been just these first couple weeks of the season, but it was all spring, it was all second half last season. I'll let you guys kind of chime in, but everyone knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go in on Bailey today. Like that, he's still playing really solid defense. Overall, watching him behind the plate, I am seeing him, like, his blocking actually looks a little bit better. The other day, I think I complimented him twice in the group chat on blocks in the dirt. I was like, hey, nice block. Of course, granted, the second I sent that the text to you guys, he like freaking backhands a ball with a runner on third. And I'm like, bro, this is why I can't be nice to you. Like, I see that on tape. But like, he's our catcher and he's hitting 8th. Like, whatever. I will leave him alone. They put him where he belongs in the lineup, play solid defense, and just get the bat going a little bit at some point. And as Ricky likes to say, draft a catcher early in this draft and just put a little heat on Bailey to like actually start hitting. But Lamont Wade Jr., I think it's time to have the Lamont Wade Jr. discussion. And
let me sit up. I'm ready.
I know. Yeah. We're all like, he's going to get time. He's a vet. He's going to get some time. But this thought process by the team that he should get to start and he deserves to start against every right-handed pitcher is completely asinine to me at this point. The guy is about to exit the interstate on the wrong exit ramp. Like, he's hitting 102 right now, and we're 3 weeks into the season. Like,
and I think he has like a 170 on base.
Yeah, like it's a small sample size. It can change quickly. He could have like 2-3 hit games and all of a sudden he's hitting like 230. But it's still like you can't just trot him out every day when he's doing this. At some point, you got to give Casey a game against some right-handed pitchers. And yeah, Casey today, he struck out 3 times on changeups that he clearly was not picking up from Sanchez. A lot of guys weren't. But he's at least playing like really good defense, shows flashes, and as ugly as Casey might look at the plate sometimes, he's looked a hell of a lot better than Wade has in his limited shots. So it's just, I don't know how long you give him. I would say, like, if he's hitting like this when Harar gets back, like, he better be on the bench. Like, you can't play him.
No, yeah. And the thing is with Wade, his best asset as a hitter is not swinging the bat and getting on base some way, shape, or form. Like, that's what he's known for. That's why he was trotted out as the godsend of a first or of a leadoff hitter. Like, because, he works the count, he gets on base. Well, he's not getting on base. So, I mean, they're come, like you said, it's early. It's barely mid-April, but there has to be serious discussions. Like you said, once Harar is back and healthy, and you got to make a tough decision about him, because obviously you can't take Wilmer out. Like, he's too valuable at the plate right now, and Harar was deserving of practically an everyday job, so you can't slide him in the DH role. It's just going to be one of those things where you're going to have to find a spot for him, in my opinion. And Wade's he's the odd man out as it stands this moment. Give it, like you said, 3-4 weeks. And if, you aren't seeing any type of improvement, you've got to make those difficult decisions. Like, I know it's going to hurt tons of Giants fans, but we got to focus on the now and look towards the future. We can't look at who late night Lamont was back in 2023. So,
yeah. Well, and like, what does it hurt this team to give like one of Wade's starts each week right now to Casey?
It doesn't.
Like, okay, you're starting 4 or 5 days a week as it stands because the league is 75% right-handed. Give one of those starts to Casey because Wade ain't contributing right now. And this idea that Casey's going to magically improve against right-handed pitching by facing one righty a week in one of his starts, when he starts against a lefty and he gets to face, a right-handed reliever late in a game that's got nasty stuff, and he's going to somehow improve against righties, getting 1 or 2 at bats a week against a righty. It's like, that's not going to happen. He needs more playing time than that if you want to see improvement. Yeah. And Wade isn't exactly earning this playing time right now. So I would love to see just even throw Casey one of those starts so he just gets a little bit more playing time and a little more leash. And, if he starts earning more of it, keep taking it, because until Wade shows that he's back to doing what he was and he's earning the playing time, you can't keep trotting a dude out that's hitting 102. Like, he's starting to venture dangerously close to, what was it, like July Patrick Bailey numbers? Like, dude, you got to get going.
Well, especially if this season is going to be like your evaluation year for your younger players.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense if that's your whole focal point of the 2025 season is to see what you have, focus on development, and look towards the future. It makes no sense to keep trotting out a 32-year-old Lamont Wade Jr. who's barely hitting over 100. Like, it makes no logical sense in the long run. So, yeah, to your point, if you can find a day to get a Casey Schmitz in there, get him occasional starts, even if it's against a righty where it's not going to be, the best matchup on paper. But if your goal is ultimately evaluating what you have in-house and looking towards the future, I mean, it only makes sense to start leading that direction. Granted, like everyone's saying and we're saying, it is very early, but you got to start having these difficult conversations at some point. So that's just where I stand.
And where I stand on this is Wade is currently at 49 at bats. I think we're already at the point of give Casey one additional start per week. He already gets one typically against an opposing lefty starting pitcher. Give him one additional start per week against right-handed pitching, because you got to start working some of these other guys in. You can't just leave all of your bench players out to dry and sitting on the bench getting cold. And then you have a game like today where you have Sam Huff and Christian Koss coming off the bench. Huff has 18 at-bats on the season right now, and Koss has 14, spread out over almost 3 weeks of baseball, guys. Like, I know everybody's very impatient with those guys and how they're not hitting, but it is extremely difficult to hit big league pitching as is. And when you're giving these guys not even 3 full at-bats, basically, for every, say, 5 games being played, like, it's going to be really freaking tough. Like, these guys are put into very difficult situations with the limited amount of at-bats they have. And another thing I want to point out is Sam Huff was a pretty successful offensive catcher and all up and through the minor leagues, and was a top prospect at one point for in the Rangers system. And I really do legitimately think that he will get the bat going if the Giants give him a little bit more consistent at-bats. And I'm not saying go and bench Bailey. They're not going to do that. But there are times where you could take Bailey early out of the game, and there's been games where the Giants are down 3-4 runs. Just put Sam Huff in and get him an extra at-bat here and there. And then with Christian Koss, I understand we're going to roll with the starters, and then Fitz has picked it up a lot at second base. But same thing, you got to get these guys worked in sometimes. Take advantage of these games where you're down by a few runs. And I'm not saying wave the white flag, but you got to get these guys more at bats if you ever want them to do anything, because it is not going to be sustainable for any hitter. I don't care who it is. If they're getting, 3 at bats in a week and then you just randomly put them in, say they have one good game, they're not going to continue to, pile good game after good game when they're getting their at bats so spread out. So going back to Wade, 49 at bats, I would say give Schmidt one of his starts per week right now. And then by the time Wade gets up to 100 at bats, if he has not figured out by that time, he needs to be in a full on platoon. And I'm not saying righty lefty platoon, because he would still be getting most of that bats. I'm saying he needs to be in a 50-50 timeshare at first base, because the at-bat quality has been atrocious basically since the Houston series, when he started to show a little bit of signs of life. And then going back to Casey, I know he had the hat trick today, which obviously not ideal, especially given that he was going against a lefty starter. But his last 4 batted balls in play have gone for 108 miles per hour exit velo, 101.7 miles per hour exit velo, 110.2 miles per hour exit velo, and 105.6 miles per hour exit velo. 3 of those 4 balls put in play were outs. 3 out of 4. Yeah. Only one of those went for a single. Like,
and the guy is 1 mile an hour one was a ball that he probably missed by like a millimeter on the lumber from being a go ahead home run. Like,
yes,
that was a warning track shot in crappy weather.
So ultimately, Casey is going to break through if you give him more opportunities. He's shown very nice, steady progression over the last 3 seasons. And something we've discussed is a lot of Giants fans base their evaluation on Casey Schmidt in the year that he was called up way too early. He went and started a season in, I believe, High A Eugene, worked to Richmond, got a handful of at-bats down there, did well, went up to Sacramento, and then had to fill in at shortstop because both Brandon Crawford was hurt and the Giants had no other options to go to, and he was completely rushed up. And the Giants basically hung him out to dry. He struggled, and the Giants were just going to let him struggle through that because they had no other shortstop options at that time. And a lot of Giants fans have kind of held on to that with Casey, even though last year in very small sample sizes hit pretty well and then went back and forth to Sacramento after only, a cup of tea in the big leagues, and did really well in Sacramento, showed improved plate discipline. And then he's had some very nice games in San Francisco as well, in, like I said, very limited opportunities. And this is a guy that not only can be a stopgap for you right now at first base until Bryce Eldridge is developed, but he's a guy that can be an extremely valuable, versatile, utility guy if Fitz is going to be the long-term answer at second base. So why not get him going and start to slowly move on from Wade if all the signs are there? Because I believe Wade is in a contract year right now, is he not?
Yeah, he might. Yeah, they might be able to arb him one more time. I can't remember, but
I believe this is a contract year for Wade. And I mean, either way, he's what, 30 years old, 31, 32? Like, what are we doing?
Be paying
here?
him $7+ million. Like that, to me, it's that simple.
It's a contract year for him, Wade, and Wilmer.
Yes.
And to Ricky's point about what he just said about 2023, and I think it's completely unfair to judge Casey off of that season, is if you looked at what Casey had when he got called up in May or whatever that year, Casey had 15 at bats in AA and 134 at bats in AAA. This guy had 149 at bats in the upper levels of the system and got brought up. And so to judge based off of that, to me, it's just like he was clearly rushed, clearly not ready. So I just take 2023 and I just throw that in the garbage. Like, it's not, you got an idea of what kind of player he is, but like basing your opinion of the results there, where he went through one of probably the worst slumps of his life, it just to me is asinine. So judge him off of the last year. And in the last year, we've seen steady improvements. So that's just all I would say to those people. Looking ahead, and this is where, to Ricky's point, like of getting Wade in more of like a timeshare, like I would just be like favorable at, matchups. Like they play, God help us, we play against Kyle Hendricks on Saturday, and Wade has like a 1,300 OPS against Hendricks in his career. Yeah, by all means, Wade should be playing in that game. And there are a few, there are right-handed pitchers that he's had a lot of success on. Sure, play him against those guys, but like I'm reaching the point here where I just you reach a point where your average is so bad that it's like you can't just keep doing it. Until that guy shows signs of life, you can't do it. So it's rough. All right, you guys got anything else on the Wade thing, or do we want to turn the page? I've got a couple here.
Yeah, we'll move on from the Wade thing.
Oh, here. Well, this is kind of relevant to it from Tom. Early team success is putting the young evaluation process on hold for the present. Yeah, I agree. I mean, as long as the team's winning, they're not going to sit there and like actively try to develop their young players. But like in the case of Casey Schmidt versus Lamont Wade Jr., Lamont's not helping you win. So it's not a, hey, can we get an evaluation on Casey? I mean, yes, we are. I am advocating to give him some at-bats against right-handed pitching to hopefully help him improve in that regard, because we don't really know if he can or not when he never faces them. But it's just in this case, it's part of it is the team is just not, like, they're getting nothing from Lamont Wade right now. So he's not helping them win games. So even though they are winning, I can't sit there and go, well, don't change Wade because they're winning. Like, that's somewhere they can improve.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then this is actually a good topic. Before we do that, we do have like 95 people in here. Any of you that aren't subscribed, if you can, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate the support. It's awesome. The show's starting to pick up a little more steam again, starting to grow a little more. We're going to do a giveaway at like 1,750 subscribers. So we're ways off that, but as we get closer, maybe we'll do a hoodie. I don't know. We haven't figured out what we're doing there. So,
give us some ideas if you guys have anything in mind that you guys think we should do for sure.
Yeah, we'll try and get something cool. All right, this was actually sent earlier. I thought this was a good one to talk about once we got going through some of the stuff. But Tom said, have our expectations changed since the beginning of the season?
I wouldn't say they've changed as much as we're all pleasantly surprised with the start. I don't think any of us expected us to get off to this hard of a start and have one of the better records in the league. So I'd say that's a pleasant surprise, but expectation-wise for the year as a whole, I mean, I'm still fairly confident in my over-under assumption of 84.5 wins. So I still think that's realistic. I still think that's likely what it's going to end up as. And it's for the reasons that we've already discussed on. I mean, Bowmel's notoriously struggled with the bullpen. We're already seeing glimpses of winnable games where that's been an issue, and that's likely cost us. It's likely going to be one of those reoccurring themes throughout the season. We've seen some of these guys hit some bad slumps. We've seen a lot of positives. We've seen a lot of good out of the pitching staff and a lot of bad out of the pitching staff. We've seen, we've already seen the potential flaws on this team. It's not going to be a perfect team. Would I love to see them make a push for the wild card? Absolutely. But expectations-wise for the year as a whole, I think it'll probably end up being on par with what I was, assuming. But I'm definitely not going to complain about a hot start. Is it sustainable? Maybe not. Would I like it to be? Absolutely. So that's just my thoughts on it. There's definitely some positives to take away as a whole so far. Like we've touched on, I'm very pleased with what the defense was up until this road trip. Great. I was very pleased with some of the hot starts some of these guys have gone on. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I don't think my expectations have really changed, but I've definitely been happy.
Yeah.
And going back to the last comment, something I would say as far as, putting development of the young guys to the side in favor of the present because of the way the team's playing. While I'm not a believer in the 2 timeline thing in any sport, I think the Giants are kind of doing a little bit of both, though, because really, when you look at it, who's even in AAA Sacramento right now that isn't getting developed in the big leagues because of veteran players that are blocking them? Nobody, in my opinion. I think Grant McCray is a guy we're going to see at some point this year, but I wouldn't say he's ready to be a starting outfielder for the Giants. So I wouldn't say him. Marco Luciano's had a very mixed bag kind of start in Sacramento this year. He's definitely not ready to be a starter. And then outside of that, you have Carson Wisenhunt, who's not on the 40-man roster, and you have Kyle Harrison down there who wasn't ready in spring training. So in my opinion, I don't think that's really been a concern despite their success so far to start the year. As far as what they've got in the big leagues, right now you're developing Landon Roop. You still have Harrison Birdsong, who has done well, and I think we all don't really agree with the role he's currently been put into in the bullpen because it's just been very weird and hasn't been very solidified, in my opinion. But then you also have Tyler Fitzgerald, who, yes, he's not super young, but he's a younger-ish player. You have Patrick Bailey. You have Casey Schmidt, who's starting to build into more of a role. And you have Luis Matos in a platoon situation in the big leagues as well. So while they may not be getting developed exactly the way we'd like them to, the Giants are incorporating a lot of these younger guys. I just rattled off multiple names, and I haven't even included any of the guys in the bullpen outside of Birdsong. You still have Randy Rodriguez. You have Eric Miller over there. So you have a lot of nice young players getting a decent amount of playing time and having some solid roles on the big league team that, like we just mentioned, if things continue the way they're going right now, we probably see an expanded roles as the season goes on.
No, that's well said. It's they are, they are developing some guys, and like Ricky said, there's not really anybody in AAA that's getting blocked outside of some pitchers. That those are the only ones that you can make a case for, but even then, like, every one of them has stuff that they need to work on. Like Kyle Harrison, we've spoken ad nauseum how much, like, there is a lot that he should be working on. Doesn't mean he couldn't be effective though in the majors right now, but like, there's stuff he needs to work on. Wisenhunt was off to a nice start. He still has to work on a third pitch. His fastball command is spotty, causes him to get knocked around at times. Mason Black, we see it where he can't seem to command the ball right now, and he doesn't have good enough stuff to get outs otherwise. And he's running into stuff. I think the only guy in AAA right now on the mound that's like really kind of been pushing for anything is Carson Seymour, who's been really solid. So yeah, I think they're trying to develop some of these guys. Now, kind of back to Tom's question, he says, have our expectations changed since the beginning of the season? I don't know if my expectations have changed. Like, I don't expect this team to be a playoff team suddenly. I'm more hopeful than I would have been if they weren't off to a good start. I would say I'm more hopeful than I was on opening day that this team could be a playoff team, but I don't think my expectations have really shifted too much. I predicted them at 86 wins. Maybe I would bump that up to like 87 or 88 the way they've started, which maybe that's enough to get a wild card spot. I don't know. But I don't think my like overall expectations have completely changed.
I think the best answer to that question is, has our expectations changed? No. Has our optimism increased? Yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I predicted 90 wins before the season started. So, no, I'm just kidding.
Ricky's going to be doing like a victory lap on everybody.
Oh, it's coming, but first, we'll have to see how things go. 13 wins is a nice little start, but I think things will get a lot more interesting once the divisional games start, in all seriousness. As of today, the Giants division now owns the 4 best records in all of baseball. The Diamondbacks just entered the equation. So now you have the Padres, Giants, Dodgers, then the Diamondbacks. 4 best records in all of baseball. So we desperately need to see some NL West action get started, because that's when we will really know, we'll have a litmus test on where everybody stands in the division. I think right now would be a great time to see the Dodgers for sure, because they're a little bit banged up on the pitching side and haven't really played well. They just got off of a road trip against the Nationals and the Phillies, who the Giants just played really tough and struggled mightily. And then they came back home, and then they played the Cubs. And they're starting to play a little bit better now, but and then you have the Padres, who have been the hottest team in baseball. They have the best record in all of the MLB, and ultimately they have had almost no road games. So I think that will be a big test for them too. I think that's really been the most eye-popping thing for the Giants, is how well they played on the road, and I think makes this whole thing a lot more sustainable long-term for the Giants if they can continue to win games at this level on the road, and then come back at home and hopefully play over 500 ball and, hit a little bit more than they did on this last homestand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that they had to play 16 of their first 22 games on the road, like, that's brutal. Like, that's such a brutal.
And
they got shafted.
They're handling it well.
Yeah, they are. Which, and the schedule doesn't get easier anytime soon. They got, as we mentioned earlier, the Angels are playing well. They're going on the road against them. Then they come home, got 4 against the Brewers, 3 against the Rangers at home. Then they get their first day off in, I think, 17 days on the 28th, and then they go to San Diego. Which, how weird is it that our first division games aren't until a month into the season? That's wild to me. Like, that's just wrong.
Well, and I think last season, it was July that they played their last games against the Dodgers, and then they didn't play them the last 2 months of the season. It didn't really matter at all, but that's very weird, especially if, say, this year those two are competing for first in the division. Like, that's that would be a very weird scenario for both teams for sure.
Yeah. Dude, I'm looking ahead at May. Like, the schedule really just does not get easier like anytime soon. Like, even May, they do get 4 against the Rockies, and then they go to Chicago, to Minnesota, home against the Diamondbacks, home against the A's, home against the Royals, in Washington, in Detroit. It's like, it's not. You get the 4 at home against Colorado, which maybe history will repeat itself there and they'll sweep, but like the rest, it's like, that's just brutal. That's a rough schedule.
I think June is definitely going to be the best month for them as far as not having as heavy of competition. They do get the Dodgers in there and the Padres, but they have a struggling Braves team. They've got the Rockies. They've got Cleveland, who's been so-so. They've got the Red Sox, have been hit or miss, and you've got Miami and the White Sox. So that's going to be kind of the month to really try to take advantage and give yourself a little bit of wiggle room.
It's just tough. I feel like they don't get a break anywhere. Well, you're going to have to beat good teams. It is what it is. Got to compete, got to beat good teams if they're going to try and make the playoffs. But yeah, like Ziggy said, it's a good test. So, kind of crazy. I didn't realize how tough their schedule was when I started looking ahead. That's pretty rough. So, you got anything else we want to talk about tonight? Anybody in the chat, you guys have anything you want us to talk about? I know Paul asked what our take on Jung-Hoo Lee is so far. We kind of mentioned it earlier. I think we all feel like he has the potential to be a pretty special player. Might not ever be a guy that's going to like compete for MVPs or anything like that, because I don't think he's going to put up the sexy stats, but In this park, if you can put up like 40 plus doubles and 10 homers and steal 20 bags and play Gold Glove caliber defense in center, I think every person to me, that's like a top 20 position player in baseball.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're hitting like 300 plus.
Yeah, he's actually outplaying Juan Soto right now. Again, I'm not going to do the Jung-Hoo Lee, Ohtani, Jung-Hoo Lee, Juan Soto thing, but it just shows kind of where he stands right now. He's still, as far as I know, leading the league in doubles and has been extremely consistent all season. So that's kind of where we stand.
All I'll say is don't let Jung-Hoo Lee finish with a better statistics than Shohei Ohtani. Because I will be the most unbearable troll in the history of trolls on X all off season.
We'll see how things stand if Lee keeps it up and Ohtani starts pitching every 5-6 days again. You know, that's definitely going to have an impact because that'll wear on anybody.
I'm surprised Dan hasn't made any 2023 Wilmer jokes about Shohei Ohtani yet.
I've been holding back.
He's the king of the solo shot right now.
I've been holding back from the Wilmer jokes for a while. Rightfully so.
He's earned
it. I directed my attention to Wade.
Yeah.
I will say I think we should finish on some positives because we did spend the early part of the show kind of ragging on a few guys. I don't know who are your guys' biggest positives from this road trip so far. Definitely isn't going to be anybody on the pitching side of things, that's for sure.
Mine,
Ray.
This guy. My biggest positives from the road trip, number one, probably Fitzgerald, just because of how abysmal his start was. Wait, what is this? Hang on, I gotta see.
Shout out Nathan. I heard him pitch in Seattle last year. The last start he made. Literally sounds like you're at a tennis match. I'm like, does this guy do this to like mess with hitters? He should throw some different grunts in there every now and then just to see if he can get crucial 2-strike pitch, trying to get out an inning, and he just lets out like a moan on a pitch and like just freaking what.
That'd be funny. Shout out Nathan though for that. Appreciate you. But no, Tyler Fitzgerald is my number one. Again, mainly because of how bad the start was. So this road trip he's really shined. Secondly, Jung-Hoo Lee. I mean, outside of that one Ofer game, he's been money. And then besides that, honestly, I give some flowers to Chappie. I mean, he really was grinding for the first couple weeks, and he's starting to turn a page now. So we all knew he would pick it up, but it's definitely a sight for sore eyes to start seeing it kind of come around because you need that bat in the heart of your lineup. So those are my 1, 2, 3 right there.
Fitzgerald for sure. He is now batting .309 on the season with just under a 900 OPS. So definitely have to give him his flowers. When we were at that last game of the homestand, when Yaz hit the walk-off, Fitzgerald, I believe, was in the 180s, 190s. So to bump your batting average up that much in a matter of 7 games is extremely impressive. He's hitting the ball really well, and when he's hitting the ball the way he is, which obviously is not going to be sustainable, but when he is hitting the ball well, it really makes a huge impact on the rest of their lineup, because even though you're not getting that production out of 2, 3, 4 right now, you have a guy hitting after Bailey at the bottom of the lineup that provides speed and gets up right before Yaz, their current leadoff hitter, who has also been hitting the ball really well. And then that ties right into Jung-Hoo Lee coming up and providing a couple speedy runners that are in scoring position when Jung-Hoo Lee comes up, and has really made a difference when the Giants have had to come back and kind of battle in some of these games where their starting pitchers have put them in a hole. So I think Fitz for sure. And then I would definitely say Yaz. I think other than really one game, he's been pretty damn solid out of the leadoff spot. He's I know he hit the 1 home run here in Philly. He's driven in a couple runs, and he's been solid overall, other than I believe just one game in New York that really stands out to me at least. And has helped because ultimately that was Lamont Wade's spot, and he was really killing the Giants at the top, especially when you had Adames hitting right after him, and then once Ramos went cold, hitting right after, and then Chapman all in a row. So I feel like it's really added a lot of balance to the lineup. And while I have said that, nobody really stands out on the pitching side, at least as the starters go, definitely have to give both Randy Rodriguez and even Tyler Rogers some credit too. Rogers is down to a .96 ERA on the season, and Randy has been lights out as well. So those two guys have really helped on the back end. And I do think that the way their bullpen is pitched, I do think it is sustainable as long as the Giants starters can get back to throwing strikes. And I think they'll do that once they get back home and get out of this kind of crappy April weather on the East Coast.
Huh.
So, and I said that on here before the season started. I said I think the bullpen will be a top 10 unit this year, and I think that will hold true the rest of the season as long as the Giants don't sustain some significant injuries in the rotation. I think they will continue to produce. I like most of the guys in that pen. I think everybody will kind of stabilize in the back end, and I do think Camilo will bounce back. I don't think they necessarily need to rely on him as a second closer and 8th inning guy, but I mean, if you can throw him in the 6th and 7th inning when starters are giving you 5 solid innings, that's totally fine. I mean, a guy like that being your first guy out of the pen is going to be really tough on opposing hitters. They're not going to prepare for him like they would as a closer. So yeah. I think the bullpen, for the most part, has been very solid.
Agreed. Well, you guys didn't really leave me many people to talk about, so I was gonna give Yaz a shout out, but I'm gonna pull a random guy that doesn't get a lot of love from us. In fact, I think on the opening road trip we were ready to leave him somewhere not San Francisco and not bring him back. But quietly, Spencer Bivens threw 4 shutout innings on this road trip and only allowed 2 base runners. So with 5 strikeouts, he walked 2 guys, no hits. 4 innings, 5 strikeouts, no earned runs. So I'll give Spencer Bivens some love because he pitched in some really crappy weather games. He was in that first game in New York. It's been windy and rainy. Even in Philadelphia, it's rained a little bit. So I'll give him some props there. He had a nice road trip. I think I did mention Yaz. I just wanted to kind of pile onto what Ricky said. Like, he's actually looked good. He's had some good hits against left-handed pitchers. His approach looks so different than it was the last 5 years. Like, it's not just a, hey, Yaz is hot right now. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this time it's sustainable, but like, it looks different than what he did at other times. Cause he's not trying to pull everything in the air. Like, he looks like a professional hitter finally, where he's going the other way. He's adjusting with 2 strikes and he's doing all those little things. So Yaz has been pretty solid. And then, even Camilo, he's pitched in 3 games on this road trip, and he is yet to allow a base runner. 3 games, 3 innings, 3 strikeouts, 0 hits, 0 walks. So shout out Camilo. He's being boring Camilo. That's what we want. That's what we've been looking for. ERA is down to 3.24. So, yeah. Shout out those couple guys that had a really good series because, and just to add, I think I had brought it up here. Ziggy's comment, I'm most impressed with how every night it's like a different guy is getting the big hit. Yeah. I mean, that too. Like, it's we kind of touched on it earlier. Like, every night it's a new guy contributing to a win. And that's kind of like we talked earlier where I was saying, even guys like Adames, who's just not swinging the bat well, he's come up with big hits. Same with other guys that haven't been swinging the bat well. So it's good to see this team find ways to win games. So, and of course, Fitz and Lee, they deserve all the love that they're getting right now because they really carried the team so far on the road trip on the whole. Let's see.
I like this one right here.
Oh, if I had gifts and I could go faster, I would 100% pop the Dr. Evil up or like $1 billion.
No, but on a realistic note, Ziggy, if Wilmer makes the All-Star team, I will buy a jersey and I will wear it with pride.
If Wilmer breaks the 30 home run streak, I think Dan should have to get a jersey.
Okay, yeah, if he doesn't make the All-Star game, but he hits 30 bombs, sure, I'll do it too.
We'll get ourselves a signed Wilmer jersey that says "To my biggest fan."
Oh my god. No. Ricky's got connections. He could probably make that happen.
He's already plotting down there.
What's that app where you can get like celebrities to do a little like sound clip for you or whatever? I'll get Wilmer on video saying,
"Is that a cameo?"
Dan, my number one fan cameo. Yeah, thank you. Oh man,
hey, man, Dan, my number one fan. You're gonna have him do a damn Dr. Seuss film.
Dude, we're not even gonna tell Dan, dude. We're gonna just put that video.
Dude, imagine the chat will freaking lose it.
No, I'd have to wait till mid-show. I'd have to wait where we have like right now where we have like 100+ people in here, and then I just like Dan would be talking, and then I just be like click, and it just pops up on the screen.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Oh man, that's awesome.
What can you get for 20 home runs?
He's hit 20 already.
I will say he's already done that. If he gets 25, if he gets 25 home runs, then we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But 95% of them can't be solo shots.
Yeah. Your nephew had Chuck Norris to sing happy. That'd be sick. That's also so random.
Oh man.
A Wilmer tattoo. Should I get a 41 on me somewhere?
30 tattoo. Get a 431 and flayed.
431.
On your lower back.
Yeah. Tramp stamp.
Wade tramp stamp or plate. Oh my god. That'd be so funny.
If Wilmer hits 40 bombs, I will get 41 tattooed on me.
Tramp stamp. It's gotta be a tramp stamp.
I can't do a tramp stamp.
If Wilmer Flores hit a World Series walk-off home run,
I will get the tramp stamp.
Yeah, there we go. That's just hilarious.
If Wilmer actually gets to 40 bombs, like by the time he gets to like 27, 28, we're going to see Dan deteriorate like a drug addict. Like he's just going to slowly decay as he realizes he's going to have to get a lower back tattoo.
I'm going to shrivel up like a raisin, bro.
Oh, man. It'd be so funny.
I'm a man of my word, though, so don't worry.
Yeah. All right. Anything else anybody wants us to chat on before we hop off today? Not a super long show this week. Kind of covered everything pretty quick, and we're not going to just drag it out. But if anybody's got anything in particular that they want to talk about, thanks, Dad.
Miss you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh god. I just read the one above it too.
Oh my god. Ziggy. All right.
That's brutal.
On one tonight.
Okay. All right. Well, it doesn't seem like anybody else has any. Sorry for anybody that actually
Thank you,
around
Derek.
here.
Appreciate that.
Sorry.
Any new viewers are probably like, "What is this show?"
Man, this is what happens when you get us at 10 o'clock at night. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, we'll be back next week for sure on probably we'll look at the schedule. It'll probably be Thursday or Friday. I try and aim for whatever day doesn't involve us going at 10 o'clock at night to go after a game or having to go in the middle of a game. So I don't think we're going to stick to Fridays necessarily going forward. We may do Thursday or Friday, depending, if there's a day game on a Thursday, or like today where it's an East Coast game, it's a little easier. So yeah, just keep that in mind, everybody. Other than that, appreciate everybody for hopping in here with us. If, like I said earlier, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. It helps with the growth of the channel, and I'll have the minor league update coming up next Tuesday. We might have a couple video. We might have a video drop in the middle of the week. Just kind of depends on what all's going on. Otherwise, we'll do the minor league update and we'll do the live show like usual. So,
yes, sir.
All right, take it easy, everybody. Go Giants. Make sure you follow Ricky on SF Giants Cove. Lots of good. If you want the minor league stuff before before my Tuesday update, where you have to listen to me ramble about 60 different prospects, he posts stuff every day. So, make sure you check that. And Ziggy, I would love to do this, but I've got a 1-year-old and I do not have the time to do it every single night. It is rough, but I wish maybe way in the future we will do a daily thing, but not right now.
if I go down to one job, I will consider it.
I'll
consider a post-game show. I'll drag Ricky with me if I have to.
Yeah, we'd have to keep it to 30 minutes.
It
would have to be short 20, 30 minutes.
It'd be 20, 30 minutes real quick.
Yeah. But I agree, Ziggy. So, all right, peace out, everybody. Go Giants, and we'll catch you next time.